Y muy bien. Y buenos días, feliz lunes y feliz Hanukkah, feliz día festivo. Happy holidays for everybody. Ah, bien, y bienvenidos, bienvenidas a todos aquí. Y hoy vamos a escuchar, practicar un poquito de todo, a little bit of everything, and of course, take any questions. Today is our last scheduled class before the holiday season begins in earnest. Sí, hoy el 15, today the 15th is our last day. So no class next week. I will leave a video for people to watch in the interim time off, something that'll be a fun listening comprehension kind of drill. But we don't have class next week. So, bien. Okay.
Marilyn, when does the next session begin?
Next session begins the week of January 5th, and January the 5th is a Monday. That means January 5th will be our first class. I think we're holding up 4 people now. A lot of people sign up kind of last minute because, do you have a lot of holiday expenses? I have a lot of holiday expenses. I was going to buy a prime rib for Christmas Day for my husband. And till I walked in the store and on sale, I found a 5 pound cut for $72. And I said, no, no prime rib this year. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Muy bien. January 5th. So if you got expenses and you want to, you've got time to sign up. I think if we need to get to 8, if we don't get 8 by the week before, so like right before New Year's is the deadline for sign up. Still some time. I don't know about you. Sometimes I have lots and lots of expenses at the holidays. Sometimes surprise expenses that I didn't really want to do. Ok, a ver, vamos a empezar aquí con algo. Quiero saber. I want to know. Quiero saber. I want to know. Our listening video about Andrea. Andrea en su viaje al aeropuerto, her trip through the airport. Y su viaje de avión, her plane ride. Uh, there were a few past things mixed in here and there. Pero quiero saber si hay alguna pregunta de vocabulario, de un grupo de palabras, algo. Sí, Marcos.
I had a vocabulary question. She used the word Costco, which, well, I think when she was dealing with her earbuds. I
Ah,
hope I got the right
ah,
video in mind. But in some in
yes.
some pre in some previous class, I had used the word Costco for helmet.
Helmet. Sí, sí,
But
sí.
I'm and I didn't have anything to drink, but I'm pretty sure she used it as when she was talking about it was either earbuds or headphones. I can't recall now.
Yeah, yeah, she did. Now that I think about that, see, uh, um, okay, yeah, casco is helmet or a hard hat, something like that, something you wear on your head. Um, but um, uh, generally, the term you hear more often for earbuds or earphones would either be audífonos, audífonos, or auricula, A-U-R, auriculares. Those two terms are the more commonly heard ones, but I think she did, yeah, use that. There are always regional terms, things that are used just regionally, some areas more than others. Bien, ¿qué más? So you may hear different terms for that device, like these, only smaller.
Sure.
Okay.
Marilyn, I don't have a question. I just have sort of a comment. I actually felt pretty good about being able to understand what the video was about. There were a couple of words that I didn't know, and admittedly I did not go back and look them up, but I think I still got the gist of what she was trying to say. Part of it because of context in the airport, if she was talking about some feature of the airport or whatever. But yeah, I felt pretty good about it. I think the level was good.
Yeah. Okay. Gracias. Sí,
It was a
gracias.
little bit of a stretch because I didn't know every word, but I was able to understand what most of the verbs meant and that kind of thing. I hope
It's
others
a
felt
little
that way too.
stretch. Yeah, but your goal is to understand the general idea. Now, with a video like that, where she's literally walking through and using her camera, there are a lot of things you can get. And Sam had pointed this out once, and it was a really super good point. Um, of there are a lot of visual cues.
Mm-hmm.
Some videos we have, you don't have a lot of visual context clues. With this
Right.
one, there were a lot of visual
Yeah.
context cues. But even if the context cues are verbal, meaning just other words in the sentence for you to get the general idea, as opposed to visual, an actual object that helps you figure out. Um, that is the point. There's always going to be a Swiss cheese element of there are some holes in the cheese. And sometimes you got to plug the holes, but you can get enough from the other ideas of things going on that it is helpful. Okay, muy bien, muy bien. Buena observación, muchísimas gracias. And okay, otra pregunta. Any other question on anything you didn't understand of what was going on in there or other terminology that might have been used? No, nada. Okay, bien. Ah, una parte de ese video, one part of that
Maybe
video.
she can hear us to say, there you go. There you're
Yeah,
back.
Oh,
You froze for a second.
yeah, you froze for about
oh,
maybe a
I
minute.
did. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I am getting an unstable message. What is that about? Let me pause briefly and make sure I'm connected properly.
okay.
Maybe her kitty got the wire.
Okay, everything firmed up. Sometimes, an animal walks back there
Mm-hmm.
and loosens a plug, but nothing was loose. But I still was getting oh, it's flipping me out of my network. There's a husband question for later in the day. Come on, put me back on my Ethernet. Ethernet disconnected? No, it isn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No,
We
it
can see
shouldn't
and hear
be.
you.
Yeah, it's in there real tight, but it does not want to let me onto my Ethernet. Well, there's an interesting problem for the day. Let me try this again. Ethernet disconnected. Lovely. Okay. We may have a little bit of tiling here. I don't want to disconnect any other things during class because that'll cause a problem. Okay, muy bien. Espero que no congele. I'm going to hope it doesn't freeze up. Uh, bien. Okay, había una parte, there was a part, había una parte del video en que Andrea habló un poquito de su habilidad de escuchar y entender las conversaciones de otros pasajeros en el aeropuerto. ¿Sí? Había personas, there were people, and there's one of our uses, había, there were. Instead of I, there are right now. Había, there were. Había personas en el aeropuerto que hablaban en portugués o hablaban en español y porque ella puede entender francés, inglés, portugués, español. Sí, ella podía escuchar y entender las conversaciones de otras personas. ¿Ok? Pero en muchos casos, las personas creen que otros no entienden. They think that others don't understand. Pero ella sí podía entender. Y a veces hay ah, casos de conversaciones raras. Yeah, some kind of odd conversations she caught the meaning of, kind of not wanting to, but you just can't help. You overhear. Okay. A ver, si no hay otra pregunta, there's no other question about the airport video? No? Nada? Okay. Bien. Adelante. Moving on. What we want to do today, and we're going to use the second video to do this. I want us to practice a few things, and I'm going to preview the things that I want us to practice. These are from the videos of oops, things that we want to be able to recognize. And we're going to try to actually use a couple of these because these are out of the super high frequency verbs. We're going to try to recognize and maybe flip into some uses of these verbs in the past during class. And if you're not comfortable doing that, then keep them in the present. That's okay. But what we want to be able to recognize is I changing into había. Okay, high frequency word because often we say there is, there are, and now we're going to be hearing and saying there were. And the form you're going to hear the most often is the imperfecto of that, había. So the change from ahí to había is not a super hard change. And había, keep in mind that haber is very irregular for going into this present tense form that people learn like in first 2, 3 lessons of Spanish classes, they learn I to say there is, there are. But había is formed from that HAB core, or they call that the stem of the verb of haber. So we just put the ia ending for ER-IR verbs on the end of that HAB, había, había. So we're going to try using a little bit of that. We're going to try using a little bit of our era. This is one of the irregulars, but ser, again, is one of those core, super high frequency words. So we hear era a lot. Okay, I'm making sure I've got everybody here. Yes. Oh, you're coming in. So, okay, I'll go back so that we can see what we're going to try to use. Era, it was, or he was, or she was, okay? From es to era. And era is a super high frequency word. And that's one of the ones that's super irregular. You'll hear ser a lot in that imperfecto, often with descriptions, right? So we're going to try to recognize that a little bit more. Estar a lot goes into this imperfecto of the aba endings. Estar is an AR verb. So we're going to be maybe using some examples of está into estaba. We are going to take a look at tener. This tener verb is one that Again, tener is a high frequency that people learn in the first few weeks of Spanish. Tengo, tienes, tiene, etc. And the past will generally tend to be more commonly heard with the imperfecto. Because if you had something, it's not an event that you had or she had something, it just existed. And all those fuzzy things, yeah, things that are not event oriented, will go into that imperfecto kind of use. So tenía, we're going to get used to that a little bit. And we may add on querer. So I want to preview querer. I'm gonna make this bigger here. And when I'm done with this, I'll take your question. Perdón. Querer, to want to love, but that want thing is what we're concentrating on. Querer, to say that you wanted something, because wanting something tends to be the idea we're communicating behind it is usually an emotional thing, okay? Which is not a reaction, but rather a feeling. And it's hard to peg wanted. Is there a beginning and an end to wanted? It's fuzzy in time. Things that are fuzzy in time, like wanted, like was, like there were. These fuzzy feelings that don't have a clear beginning or end tend to go into the imperfecto. So we're going to maybe see a few examples we can use of going from querer, want, quiero, quieres, quiere, presente, present, to quería, right? Quería, wanted instead. Okay, perdón, alguna pregunta. I heard somebody interject with a question? No? Nada? Okay, bien. Here's what I want us to do. And actually there's one verb I didn't put on the screen that we may need, but we'll see it on the screen here. Okay, I want us to kind of walk through this together. And I want to see if we can change some of these high frequency verbs. And this is going to be repetitive because she repeats a lot of common verbs. If we can change a lot of these from a present to a past, because these are very easy items. So we're going to take a lot of these, see if we can say, what would that be if it was past? And we're going to start with gustar. Yeah, gustar. Gustar is it's an AR verb, so it's going to take aba endings. So you're going to hear her saying, a mí me gusta mucho la playa. I really like, yeah, or I like very much. I like the beach. Me gusta. Me gusta.
Me gusta
Oh,
mucho la playa. Me encanta la playa.
how would we change this from right now to I liked? And now she's talking about if you say I liked, meaning over a long period of time. Yeah. How would we change me gusta into I liked in the past?
Me gustaba.
Me gustaba, perfecto. Me gustaba. Me gustaba. Okay. If she were talking about her reaction to doing something, un ejemplo, en contexto, an example, in context. You walk out of your luncheon with your friends and somebody says, hey, you got that new dish. Did you like that? And that idea of did you like it would be your reaction after you just did that action of having lunch, right?
Mhm.
Okay. In that case, it wouldn't be gustaba. It would be gustó, because then it's a reaction. How did you feel about that just having done it? But if you say, I liked the beach as a kid, yeah, I used to like going there, it would be me gustaba, right? So whether it's gustó, the punch at the O at the end, or gustaba tells you if it's a reaction, like you're doing something the first time, right? Pretérito is event, one time, versus used to like. If I say I liked the beach as a little kid, I always liked it, it's gustaba because that's fuzzy. Yeah, repeated many times. Okay, and let's take a look at what would happen with menca. Sí,
Marilyn,
sí.
maybe it's a silly question, but I understand me gustó, I think, but like on the yo form, it would be an E with an exclamation point over it as the end. So
No.
why isn't it that?
Okay, because gustar is one of those oddball verbs.
Yeah, where I only use
Yeah,
or on. Oh, okay.
right. We
Okay.
very
Okay.
seldom, yeah, these are, and there's a whole category of verbs, by the way, that are like gustar, that behave in
And
the
that's why
same
it's gusto.
structure as gustar. But, right, the focus is something is pleasing to somebody, and that's why we don't use the yo form.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
me gustaba, right? Or me gustó, right? If you just did something one time and you're giving a reaction to that. Okay. Me encanta la playa. I loved the beach. I always loved it. How do we change that to loved?
Cantaba.
Encantaba.
Me encantaba. It'll be the aba verbs. Me encantaba. Okay, let's let it go a little bit. We're going to move from present to past. See if we can do a little bit of that.
Ahí está la playa. Estoy muy cerca.
Ah, bien. Ahí está la playa. There's the beach. The beach is there. And she's talking about location, yeah? So we have to use estar, right? We're not identifying, saying es la playa. We're saying ahí está. There it is. How would we're going to go to imperfecto. Imperfecto. The beach was over there.
Estaba.
Estaba. You'll hear estaba a lot. Estaba. Allí estaba la playa. Ah, the beach was over there. Now, the beach was there. That's not an event like pretérito. So many times, not 100%, but you'll hear it a lot in that estaba meaning because it's fuzzy in time. Well, it was. It just was. It wasn't an event. It existed, right? Ahí estaba la playa. Estoy muy cerca. ¿Cómo se dice? How do we make that? I was very close.
Estaba muy cerca.
Estaba muy cerca. Estaba shares the same form for yo and a usted. Estaba muy cerca. Okay. You get the idea. We're kind of on a roll with this.
Estoy muy cerca de la playa.
Estaba muy cerca de la playa.
Así que vamos a la playa. Pero
Vamos a la playa. Now, let's change gears. Vamos a la playa. Vamos a la playa. We're going to the beach. We went to the beach. Is that an event or is that fuzzy?
Fuzzy.
Well, to me, it's fuzzy.
Well, we went. Could you write that down in your diary? Say, I did this today.
Yep.
You
You
could.
could.
So, ir, if you really mean used to go, then it would be íbamos, but we went to the beach tends to more frequently be an event-oriented thing. So this is one of those odd ones. Vamos a la playa will become fuimos
Fuimos.
with an
Yeah.
F. How do you get an F out of the verb ir? I don't know. No lo sé. Ir in pretérito, not imperfecto, but pretérito. Go is more frequently an event-oriented idea, right? We say went more often than we say used to go in just everyday conversation. So you need to know that verb fuimos, F-U-I-M-O-S, fuimos, that very odd preterite form that you just have to memorize, is a good skill, a good verb to have in your back pocket. For yo, it'll be fui, I went, fui, F-U-I. And for we, it'll be fuimos. The nosotros forms keeps the F-U-I and it just tags on a mos. Fui, fuimos, fui, fuimos. Fuimos a la playa, ¿ok? ¿Vale?
Vamos a la playa, pero voy a llevar un bolso.
Voy a llevar un bolso. Is she talking about right now or what will happen?
What will happen?
What will happen? There is what they call a future tense, but in everyday conversation, they tend not to use the formal future tense. We just use ir, a, and the infinitive. That means soon, right? But future pushes it out into the future. Voy a llevar un bolso, right? Okay. If I wanted to say, I took a bag, let's make it past now. I took a bag. We're going to take llevar, and let me remind you of, whoop, boop, 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 boop. Llevar is an AR verb. How would we make that I took a bag? Llevar,
Llevé.
llevé. Llevé una bolsa. Llevé una bolsa. Ok. Vale. Muy bien. That's enlarges. Okay. Are we back to la bolsa? Can you see her bag now?
Mhm.
Sí, ok, vale. Adelante, moving on.
Una bolsa.
A
Una
bag.
bolsa de cuadrados blancos, negros y grises.
Y cuadrados. What are cuadrados?
Cubes.
Checkers or squares.
Yeah, it's squares. Yeah, like a plaid. They had kind of the concept of a plaid or a checker. Cuadrados. See, cuadrados, it looks like quad. Yeah, four sides, quad. That's where it comes from, the idea of that cuadrados. It's got squares or plaids, blancos, negros y grises.
Cuadrados, negros, blancos y grises. Una bolsa de cuadros, de cuadrados.
Okay, now I am going to kind of throw you a curveball. If I said, let's look at just the colors. We've got negros, blancos, grises. Negro, and we're going to make these singular, and we're going to make them, so we're going to be looking at negro, blanco, gris. Negro, blanco, gris. If we're talking about bolsa, I've got to make one other change. Instead of negro to talk about bolsa, I have to make it what form? A feminine kind of form.
Feminine, right? Yeah.
Negra. Blanco to
Blanca.
talk about bolsa has to become
Blanca.
blanca. And gris won't change form because it doesn't end in an O. So that means masculine and feminine will be the same, and it just stays gris. And these won't be plural because we're not going to talk about cuadrados. If I want to say in present, la bolsa es negra, blanca y gris, how do I change that from la bolsa es to the bag was?
It'll be
Era.
era.
Era. This is one of those back pocket verbs. Good to have in the back pocket. You can whip it out. Era, it was. Saying what color the bag was is just a description, isn't it? Yeah. And descriptions are fuzzy. They're not an event. Yeah. I don't write down it was black, white, and gray in my diary. That's not an event. Yeah. That didn't happen. It just was. It's a fuzzy event, not defined in time. Not defined in time. Okay? So, la bolsa era, I could change this. La bolsa era negra, blanca y gris. Okay, adelante, moving on.
De cuadros, de cuadrados. Mi bolsa tiene algo dentro.
Ah, mi bolsa tiene algo dentro. My bag has something inside. Tiene algo dentro. If we want to say it had something inside, it just existed. That's fuzzy in time. We need an imperfecto with tener. ¿Cómo se dice it had something inside? Mi
Tenía.
bolsa
Tenía.
tenía. Mi
Hmm.
bolsa tenía. We're just moving these from now to past to see how that sounds. Get used to it. Mi bolsa tenía algo dentro. It had something inside. We're going to move forward again.
Dentro de la bolsa hay algo.
Dentro de la bolsa hay algo. Inside the bag, there is something. There is something inside the bag. We're going to change it from hay algo to there was something in the bag.
Había.
Había.
Había. Había.
Había.
Dentro de la bolsa había algo. Había algo. There was something inside the bag.
A ver. Unos cascos.
And here are she calls these cascos. I know helmets, but you hear this sometimes. And remember, she's from Spain, so you hear different regional words.
Unos cascos para música.
Para música.
Para música. Estos son unos cascos de color azul.
Ah, let's think about son cascos de color azul. How would we make this past? They were blue-colored headphones, earphones. They were.
Eran.
Eran.
Eran with an N at the end, and I could hear your N at the end. Sí, muy claro, sí. Estos eran unos cascos de color azul. Bien.
Unos cascos azules y son unos cascos con cable.
Ah, ok.
El cable. No son cascos de Bluetooth.
No son cascos de Bluetooth. ¿Cómo se dice they weren't Bluetooth
No
headphones?
eran.
No eran.
Eran.
No eran.
No eran cascos de Bluetooth. And era just ends on an N. And the reason cascos is, okay, it's plural, but because it's got two earpieces, one for each ear, that's why it goes plural. Like pants in English, right? Has two legs. And yeah, it's just that thing. Pants is plural.
Esto son cascos de Bluetooth.
Ah, son cascos de Bluetooth. Eran cascos de Bluetooth.
No tienen cable.
No tienen cable. They don't have wires. ¿Cómo se dice they didn't have wires? Instead of no tienen,
No tenían.
no
Tenían.
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 No tenían cable. No tenían cable.
And why isn't it Veron? It's not preterite.
Ah, why not pretérito? Well, okay. Qué buena pregunta. What a good question. Let's go back to that idea. I've got to find my.
Because it could be
Okay,
like tuvo,
why?
tuvieron.
Let's
Yeah,
see the
those.
difference because this is, the big can of worms we open with Spanish and past tense. We've got two kinds of past tense. And I have to ask you to think in the logic of a Spanish speaker. That's the hard part here with have versus had. You're going to tener exists in both of these tenses. One we call imperfecto, tenía, tenías, tenía, teníamos,
Right.
tenían, and it exists in a very irregular. You can see, wow, are these weird? Where does that V come from, tener? A V and a U, come on. It's just very irregular, right? Tuve,
Mhm.
tuvo. You will not hear tuve, tuviste, tuvo as much as you will hear this. This will be more frequent. Why is that? If I say I had, if I say I had a little pet dog when I was 8, is that defined in time? I mean, it's defined in time as I was 8 years old, but I had that dog obviously for a long time, right? I had a
Mhm.
I had a dog when I was a little kid. Am I really defining when I got the dog? Really? Or just that I had a
No.
dog at that age period? Yeah. When you had something, it is fuzzy in time. That is the logic of a Spanish speaker, right? Tener is not indicating an event, a one-off, a one time, or I can define it happened twice, or I can define it happened 3 times. No, even something as simple as saying, wow, I had my driver's license with me. Where did it go? I had my driver's license. That thing just existed somewhere. It didn't happen. Had more frequently is not an event. The idea of had is usually not an event. Here is when had becomes an event. When I say I got a dog when I was 8, and that means I first took possession of it at that age. Maybe I got it as a birthday present, that doggy. And then I can use tener in pretérito because it means I was on the receiving end. I got this dog. I got the dog. Not really, I had a dog when I was 8 years old, and I just had that dog for a long time, but I got the dog for the first time, right? Tener changes in its meaning kind of a lot when we use this tuve, tuvo preterite. It makes it a one-time event. Yeah. If I say I had my driver's license in my pocket, I don't know how long that license was. It just existed in my pocket for a while. The emphasis is not on when I put it in that pocket, but the fact that it just was sitting there. Anything that's just sitting there is fuzzy.
So back to the example that this was about the blue cabled
See,
earbuds. So the condition of the earbuds is that they have a blue cable attached to them. So that's why it's tenían. Is that correct?
that's right.
Okay.
It's hard to think in Hispanic mind, Spanish speaking mind. Yeah.
Okay.
I explained a couple of these to some. My husband is he is ones and zeros. He is a programmer. He is ones and zeros. Everything must be this or that. This is a very hard conceptual thing.
Mhm.
You can't think with 1 and 0 logic. That probably the true definition of logic. If you want to like be deep about it, you can't do that. You got to think with feeling. You got to think with feeling. So
Mhm.
let's take a look at this again. No tienen cable. They don't have a wire or a cable. No tienen cable. Okay? They didn't have a cable. Well, that just kind of always existed. No tenían cable. If I said, let's change this tener into a yo form and instead say, I have headphones. And we're going to use her word cascos here, even though I would generally use audífonos, audífonos. That's what I would use, but okay. Tengo cascos. I have headphones. If I want to say I had headphones, let's say I took a trip and I wanted to, I took my headphones to use with me sitting on the airplane. If I want to say I had headphones, it would be yo
Tenía.
tenía cascos. Here's how it changes if I plugged it into what we call pretérito. Tuve cascos would mean I got headphones, meaning I purchased them. I received them as a gift, maybe. Somebody gave them to me. Tuve unos cascos changes that meaning of tener into something that happened. I was on the receiving end of I got them. Tener takes on a different kind of meaning if we put it in that preterite tense, because it has to become event. And what's the only event you can have with have? It's the being on the receiving end of it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a conceptual thing. Es un misterio. It's almost a mystery right now. It takes a lot to wrap your mind around this, but what we're focusing on more are some of the easier ones of just verbs that you should recognize. Okay, we're back to her cables. See? You can see them? Okay, vale. Adelante. Let's move on. Let's see some more examples. We're going to move to past.
Estos cascos sí tienen cable.
Sí tienen, yes, they have, meaning they do have. We would say they do have instead of they yes have. Sí tienen cable. Sí tenían cable. Sí tenían cable.
Son cascos azules para escuchar música.
¿Cómo se dice? They were headphones instead of son cascos. Again, we're going to go to ser for imperfecto.
Eran.
Eran cascos azules. They were blue headphones. And this is the classic example right here where you're going to hear era or eran, or maybe éramos if we're talking about nosotros. You'll hear this in passing. If somebody's just saying they were blue headphones, that's just a description. It's not an event. And a description in the past has to use eran, that imperfecto form. Eran cascos azules para escuchar música.
Pero no quiero escuchar música en la playa.
Let's look at this one. This is a new one. No quiero escuchar música en la playa. I don't want to listen to music. ¿Cómo se dice? I didn't want to listen to music. Want is a fuzzy thing. It doesn't happen like an event.
No sí.
No quería.
Querer doesn't get a stem change for imperfecto. It just puts on as an ER verb, querer, an ia ending. No quería escuchar. No quería, I didn't want to. No quería, I didn't want to. Okay? Quería is a high frequency kind of verb that you may hear a lot. Okay. Adelante.
No. ¿Qué más hay? Dentro del bolso también está mi cartera.
And now she's talking about location of this cartera, wallet. Dentro del bolso también está mi cartera. ¿Cómo se dice my wallet was in the bag?
Estaba.
Estaba. Yeah, estar is just going to be, she's just describing whatever its location was. It didn't happen. It's not an event. It just was there. It's fuzzy in time. Estaba mi cartera.
Mi cartera con dinero.
My wallet with money.
Poco dinero. 5
A
euros.
little bit of money.
¿Qué más hay en el bolso? Hay
Ah,
unas gafas de sol.
and remember, gafas de sol may become in other countries lentes de sol. Lentes instead of gafas. Depends on where you are. Hay unas gafas de sol, como se dice, there were, from I to
Había.
había. Había unas gafas de sol.
Estas son mis gafas de ver.
These are my looking glasses, like for reading, yeah, for seeing.
Son mis gafas normales.
Son mis gafas normales. ¿Cómo se dice? They were my normal glasses, my usual glasses.
Eran.
Eran mis gafas normales.
Gafas graduadas. Estas son gafas de sol. Las gafas de sol sí las llevo a la playa.
Ah, bien. Okay, let's take a look at llevo a la playa. Sí las llevo. I do take them. Sí las llevo. Sí las llevo a la playa. Took them to the beach. I picked them up and moved them. Is that an event I can write down in my diary of I took something to the beach? Is that an event? I picked them up and llevar means you pick something up
Yeah.
and you move it from one
You'd say,
place to
yeah.
another.
Yeah.
It's an event.
Yep.
This is event oriented. It's not like was. It was blue. They were glasses. It's I took them. It's an event oriented verb. Okay. Llevar. Llevar is an event oriented verb. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? Let's take a look at event oriented AR verbs. ¿Cómo se dice? I took for llevar.
Llevé.
Llevé.
Llevé. Llevé. And we punch the E at the end. Llevé. 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 Llevé, sí, mis gafas de sol. I took my sunglasses with me. I picked them up and took them with me. Okay. Es un evento. It's an event that something we did.
Las pongo dentro de la bolsa.
Las pongo dentro de la bolsa. I'm just going to tell you. Would that be an event? I put them in my bag, or would that be fuzzy in time?
Fuzzy in time.
Well,
No,
if
I'd
I
say it's an event.
No, it's an
if
event.
if I
Oh.
pick, yeah, hey, if I put something in my bag, you can visually see that happens. And how long does it take for that to happen? That happens pretty fast, doesn't
Short.
it? Yeah, it's short. I mean,
This is
it's
one
short.
thing.
You see it drop in the bag and now it's done. Yeah.
Marilyn, I'm
Sí.
seeing a definition of earphones on my screen.
Yep, me too.
Oh, perdón.
You
Okay.
don't have the right screen showing. Yeah.
Bien, perfecto. Okay. Momento. Let me. Zoom pops me in and out. Okay. Las pongo dentro de la bolsa. Las pongo dentro de la bolsa. And that one I'll have to give you because that's a super, super irregular. There's no way you could guess it from poner. It would be las puse. I put them. So we're going to pass on for that because we're not here to like learn every irregular. It's an irregular. Las puse. Okay.
Is that preterite?
It won't be in like your top 5 that you hear every day.
Is that
Okay.
preterite though, Marilyn?
It
that
is preterite. Yeah. Puse is super irregular. Poner becomes super irregular in preterite. Sadly, the thing is, out of those event-oriented preterite verbs, there are many, many, many irregular forms that just have to be memorized, not like the charts I've shown you for the regular ones. And there are so many of them, in fact, that in high school, when kids study this, it takes them, about 1/4 of the school year to start to know which ones are irregular, and pretty much the whole first semester to get used to them. It takes a long time to get used to them. That's working with people 5 days a week. So, that's a lot of repetition. Okay. Yeah, we're going to let her go through and we're
Llevo
going to.
a la playa. Me voy a llevar un bañador. ¿Qué bañador me llevo? Tengo 3 bañadores. Uno de rayas verdes y blancas.
And let's just look at the tengo part. Tengo 3 bañadores. I've got 3 swimsuits. ¿Cómo se dice? I had 3 swimsuits.
Tiene.
Tenía.
Yeah.
Tenía. And those are fuzzy in time because I just had them. How long did I have them? I don't know. If I used preterite, it would mean like I walked out of the store and I actually purchased them. I got them. I was on the receiving end and they put it in my shopping bag, right? So just to say I had 3 swimsuits doesn't mean I just got them brand new. It means I had them around someplace. It's fuzzy. Tenía, right? Tenías 3 bañadores, and I will probably only let this roll a little bit more. I think we're done with
Uno
most of our examples.
negro, un bañador negro y un bañador azul.
But if I described these in the past, it would be, el bañador era negro, era azul, it was.
¿Qué
If I use
bañador
son,
me llevo a la playa? Creo que me voy a llevar el bañador azul. Estos los dejo en casa. Voy a meter el bañador azul en el bolso.
okay, here's something we can use. Meter is kind of like poner. It's a little more specific. It means to put something inside of something else. And sometimes instead of poner, we use meter. And it means not just setting something down on top of a table, but putting something inside of something else. Meter. Meter will be very, very regular for pretérito, unlike poner. Voy a meter, I'm going to put. If we take meter and we make it pretérito, let's take a quick look back. Meter is an ER verb. ¿Cómo se dice? I put it inside the bag. Meter.
Meti.
Meti. Meti is I put it inside. Again, it's an event. It's not fuzzy. I watched it happen. Boom, there they went in the bag. It's all over with. Yeah. Some actions in Spanish are easier to tell if they're going to be pretérito because you can see that it happens that fast. And then it's really done. Like I put this inside. That's very obviously done and over with, not fuzzy in time. Or I set my cup down on top of the table. Puse la taza en la mesa. See? Okay. We have to look at the nature of that action to figure out, is it more logical that it's going to go into event? I wrote it down. I could write it down. It happened and it's over. Or fuzzy. Wanted. When did wanted start and end? Yeah. I wanted a new cell phone for Christmas. When did I start wanting? When did I finish? Did I finish wanting? Did I finish? Really? But I wanted. Fuzzy, not an event. Yeah, see? I can't write it down as this happened. I wanted didn't happen. It's something I felt. And it's fuzzy in time. I don't really know when it started or when it ended. And that's why querer will often go into quería. I wanted, quería, I wanted, versus quiero, I want right now. Okay? See? Bien? Un poquito mejor, a little better. That dichotomy of event versus fuzzy in time really takes a long time to get used to. Some verbs are more likely, you are more likely to hear them in one tense or another. That's why we're looking at these. Yeah. See? You're just more likely one way or the other, right? Uh, all verbs will exist in all those tenses in Spanish, but how the frequency of using saw versus used to see, yeah? Or I put something down versus I used to. I set the table last night is very much rooted in time, beginning and end. I set the table versus I used to set the table for mom every day. That's over and over and over, fuzzy in time because it happened a whole bunch of times, and I don't know how many times. So we have all these extra, very complex things that start to happen. Okay, so I wanted you to see with that video how these high frequency verbs like I or tener, yeah, or ser, estar, to kind of get used to what we will typically hear. Bien? Okay?
Mm.
I want to move on to a different practice drill. Boom, 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 boom. ¿Dónde está? And I want to, and this one I'm going to give you a lot of leeway. Lots of wiggle room. And lots of wiggle room for whatever you're comfortable with. Okay? Bien. What we're going to do is we're going to build some basic communication ideas. Pueden ver, build a description. Can you see that? Pueden ver?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sí. Okay. Pueden ver, build a description. Okay. I'm going to give you tons and tons of leeway because we're going to add on to these ideas to just make them a little more meaningful, carrying a little more information. For some of you, that making it more meaningful will just mean adding on extra information, um, like a description or telling when something happens or how it happens. Uh, for others of you who feel like, I want to get my feet a little wet, we might say you can change it from happening right now to how would I say this in the past? Happening right now to how would I say it in the past? Okay, a ver, and we can go however you want. And we're going to start with these. Tener, you can take this, tengo calor, I'm hot. These are all idiomatic uses of tener. Idiomatic means if you translate it as I have heat, that sounds just bizarre in English because we don't use those verbs and phrases to talk about feeling this sensation in English. We say I am hot. And in Spanish, you can't say I am hot. It's got to be I have heat. Tengo calor, right? One of our idiomatic uses of tener. Tengo hambre. I'm hungry. Literally, I have hunger, but yeah. So you might want to say, I am hot and talk about cuando, when, or porque, because, or durante, during, or maybe you want to change it to the past. I was hot until when, or because, or during. Yeah. Okay. Bien. You can keep it in present if you want. You can make it past if you want. Let's use, I'm going to use tengo calor as my example and show you different ways we're going to add on more information for meaning. Tengo calor. And I'm going to add on more information in different ways so that if you're a person who's not comfortable with the past idea, you can still add on something meaningful. Tengo calor durante junio, julio y agosto. Tengo calor durante junio, julio y agosto. ¿Sí? Ah, tengo calor, tengo calor, tengo calor porque llevo un suéter. I'm hot because I'm wearing a sweater. Tengo calor, see? And that's just keeping it in the present. But we're adding on other ideas. We're telling a why or a during or a when idea, okay? If I want to make it into a past, ooh, let's see if some of you can help me with how to make this a past. Is this an event or is it fuzzy in time? It's a sensation. It's a feeling.
Fuzzy. It's fuzzy in time. It's
It's
not.
fuzzy in time. ¿Cómo se dice I was hot?
Tenía.
And
Yeah.
Tenía.
calor.
Tenía for yo, yeah. It could be teníamos, we were, right? It could be tenían, they were. Tenía calor. And because this is a description of a sensation, a feeling, it's kind of fuzzy. See? Tenía calor durante el verano. ¿Sí? Bien. A ver. Okay. So you get the idea. We've got one example there to get the ball rolling. Tengo hambre. You can keep it present and add ideas, or you can make it past. Anybody who wants to take a stab at this, and if you're raising your hand, I won't see you because I got my share screen on. So just dig in and un ejemplo, an example. Tengo hambre.
Um,
Could you say tengo hambre porque no desayuno? Because I didn't eat breakfast.
Sí, porque, and I need one more verb. Porque no, and we need to do something with comer.
Oh, I suppose it's como.
oh,
Como, sí, tengo hambre, but if you want, but we say this a lot because I didn't eat, don't we?
Yeah,
And
comí.
here's the didn't eat. Is eat something that happens and then it's over and you can write it down in your diary as I ate. Yes, it's an event. Tengo hambre porque no comí esta mañana. And here's another way you may hear that expressed. If they want to say ate breakfast, that's desayunar. Desayunar. And didn't eat breakfast will probably be said this way. Desayuné.
No.
No desayuné. Porque no desayuné. And you wouldn't even say esta mañana because we already know that's breakfast. Yeah? See?
Mm-hmm.
No
Yep.
desayuné. You can skip a lot of other words if you just say no desayuné. They know what time of day you're talking about because of their verb. See? Bien? Okay. Otra idea. Another idea with tengo hambre and add on some more information to give it more meaning. Or make it a past. I was hungry.
oh, tenía hambre
Tenía
porque,
hambre.
después de caminar por una hora.
Porque, because, otra vez again?
De caminar, porque
Caminando, because I was walking.
caminar.
Oh,
por-
because I walked?
Mhm.
Oh, because I
Caminar.
walked. Can I write that down as I did that?
Yeah.
I walked.
Mhm.
We
mhm.
can say, yeah, we can take caminar porque, because I walked.
The screen has gone bad again.
Caminé. porque caminé.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
need to change your screen, Marilyn.
Screen's
Oh,
messed up again.
perdón. It won't keep me in that mode. Wow. Okay. Porque caminé. Because I
Caminé.
walked. Tenía hambre porque caminé. Tenía
And you said
hambre.
para una
I
hora.
was hungry because I walked. Yeah, I did that exercise and it created that feeling. Tenía hambre. Okay. Bien. Perfecto. Vale. Anything else we can tag on to tengo hambre or tenía hambre? Can we talk about time at a certain time of day? We can say, I am hungry at a certain time of day, and you can keep this as tengo. I'm hungry at what time? It has that when feeling without using the word when. A las
3 horas.
A las 3, sí. Tengo hambre a las 3, sí. I'm hungry at 3, okay. Ba, 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 ba. Tengo hambre cuando veo todas las galletas de Navidad. I'm hungry when I see
All the
Cookies.
Cookies.
all the Christmas
Christmas cookies.
cookies. Yeah, sí, bien. Ok, a ver. Bueno, adelante. Tengo sed. To be thirsty. You can leave it in this presente and just add on information to it, or we can put it into past, whichever you're comfortable doing. Let's add some more information to this idea of tengo sed.
Tango said cuando exercicio. I want to say exercise, so I can't remember what it is.
When I do exercise, so we need to do something with this.
hacer.
Hacer. And we need to do something with this to tell who's doing it.
Um,
And if it's an I here, we got to change this into an I form, a yo form.
Hacer.
And this is a go verb.
Wait a
right,
what?
I don't.
Hago. Hacer is one of those oddball verbs. It's a go verb because it changes to a go only in the yo form. Hago ejercicio. Tengo sed cuando hago ejercicio. I'm thirsty when I exercise. Perfecto. Ok, bien. ¿Cómo se dice I was thirsty?
Tenía sed.
Tenía sed. Tenía sed. ¿Sí? Ah, ah, porque, and here's an irregular, sadly, hice ejercicio. Ejercicio. Bien, sí, porque hice, because I exercised. And, it's something I did and it's over with now, right? Sí, tenía sed, I felt thirsty. Fuzzy, porque hice ejercicio. I did exercise. It was an event. I worked out. I lifted weights. I walked fast pace. I ran. I cycled, bicycled. I did something. ¿Sí? Bien? Ok. Tengo sed. Tenía sed. Ok. A ver. Muy bien. Adelante. Let's add on some other stuff.
Too much.
You can keep it presente. You can put it into the past. You can do whatever you want. Okay. make it past or maybe make it negative or add a phrase that tells me something about cuando, por qué, or durante, or we could even say donde in some cases. Donde, see? Where? Some kind of extra information that gives us more details, fleshes out a little bit better, more information about this. Hay mucho tráfico.
Cuando it's rush hour.
Yeah.
¿Cuándo?
O punta.
Cuando estamos en hora pica. When it's rush hour, yeah. Peak hour, hora pica, sí. Hay mucho tráfico cuando estamos en hora pica. Sí, bien, perfecto. Okay. Maybe we can tell a where. Hay mucho tráfico. Let's add something on. Let's add something on to say where. Would this
I don't
be
know
on
how
a...
to say, how do you say highway in Spanish?
¿Cómo se dice highway? Bien. En la autopista. En la autopista. Hay mucho tráfico en la autopista. Bien. Vale. Muy bien. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say something about something else going on in town. Hay mucho tráfico. ¿Por qué? Because something is happening.
Festival.
There's a basketball game. And you're near the stadium. Hay mucho tráfico. There are many things you can say. Because we're near the stadium, because there's a basketball game going on. Pick one.
Estamos cerca de la what stadium?
Del
Football americano.
estadio. Estamos cerca del estadio, porque estamos cerca del estadio. Bien, 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 perfecto. ¿Sí? Porque hay un partido de básquetbol. Bien, ok. Ah, ¿Hay problema o no hay problema? There's a problem or there's no problem. And maybe you want to say with something or when something happens or I don't know, something to tell us why there's a problem, what you got a problem with.
Um,
¿Cómo se dice there's a problem with my car?
Con mi carro.
Will actually make this un problema. Hay un problema con mi
Carro.
carro, con mi auto, con mi carro, con mi coche, depende, ¿sí? Hay tres palabras principales que se usan y son palabras regionales. They are regional words depending on where you are. It could be carro, could be auto, could be coche. Ok. Hay un problema con mi carro, ¿sí? ¿Cómo se dice there's a problem with my hotel room? Hay un problema with my hotel room.
Con
Mi sala.
no, it's either cuarto or dormitorio.
It
Is a
could be
bedroom.
cuarto or it could be
Habitación.
habitación. Con mi habitación, con mi cuarto, con mi
And
habitación.
En el hotel. Is that how you
En
say
el
it?
hotel, sí. Eso, sí. Exacto. Exacto. Muy bien. Ah,
Ma-
sí, perdón.
I came up with hay problema cuando hay, and I just said mucha gente en el aeropuerto.
Ah,
I don't know, a lot of people or too many people in the
sí,
airport.
and let's make hay problemas
Mhm.
cuando hay mucha gente en el
El
aeropuerto.
aeropuerto.
Hay problemas o hay un problema cuando hay mucha gente en el aeropuerto. Exacto, muy buen ejemplo, muy buen ejemplo. Cuando, sí. Bien. O cuando mucha gente viaja en aeropuerto. When many people are traveling at the airport. Así, like that. Bien, bien, perfecto. Ok. Ah, a ver, ok. Um, ay, there is something in my house. Haha, muy fácil. Just plug in stuff. Hoy puedo decir hay muchas cajas, boxes. Hay muchas cajas en mi casa. Sí, sí, sí. Ah, porque, porque tuve, I received, tuve regalos de Navidad. Tuve, not I had, but I received. They were delivered. Tuve, now I need that preterite for tener. Tuve muchos regalos de Navidad. Tuve una caja de galletas. Tuve una caja de chocolates. Tuve una caja con un celular, pero el celular no es un regalo. Eh, Hay una caja con un celular nuevo en mi casa porque mi hija dejó caer, ¡pum! Dejó caer a su celular. She,
Act.
su celular, sí. Y ella se le rompió la pantalla del celular. Mm.
Bueno,
Y she received, ella tuvo una caja con un nuevo celular. ¿Ok? Bien. Vale. Regresemos a la pantalla. Let's go back to the screen. Describe something. What's in your house?
hay un árbol de Navidad en mi casa.
Hay un
Sí.
árbol de Navidad en mi casa. Sí. Bien, bien, bien. Muy, muy característica. Algo muy característico de esta temporada, the season. Ok, ¿qué más? What else is there?
Mm.
Mi perro.
Ok, bien, bien, vale. And how would we make these all past? Instead of there is,
Había.
there were.
Había.
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 Había, había, había. Okay. Let me show you something about this idea of past. Había, había cajas, there were boxes. Había árboles de Navidad, there were Christmas trees. Había problemas, there were problems. Hmm. Is traffic something that can happen? More of an event? It can be. You may hear this as hubo mucho tráfico. There was a lot of traffic because traffic is a moving, kind of living, moving thing. So you may hear that as the pretérito of hubo instead of había. Hubo tráfico. Había if they were describing it, but hubo if they were like in the middle of it and it happened to them. It happened if you got stuck in the middle of a bottleneck, right? See? Yeah. That's just an example of what that is like. Okay. Adelante, adelante. Let's add on to these ideas. Mi familia es. Did this switch to the correct screen? Mi familia es. You can see it. ¿Sí
Yes.
pueden ver? Okay. Mi familia es. Mi familia es.
Pequeña.
Es pequeña. Es pequeña. ¿Cómo se dice my family was small?
Era.
Yes.
Era.
Era
Era.
pequeña. Mi familia era pequeña. Sí. Ok. Vale. Muy bien. Ah, ah, this is not an event. The family didn't happen. It just was. Anything that is fuzzy in time, it just was. We need that era. So you'll hear era a lot. Bien. Okay. Mi casa es or mi casa está. Mi casa es is going to describe something permanent. Mi casa está is going to say is if I'm talking about location. Bien? And you can use either idea, but they're two different verbs, right, that talk about two different concepts.
Mi casa está cerca de las montañas.
Sí, mi casa está cerca de, and then you name what it's near, right? Cerca del centro de la ciudad, cerca del parque, cerca del supermercado, right? You have to name a thing or another place that's nearby. Está. How would I change this to my house was near?
Estaba.
Estaba.
Estaba cerca de, was near. Still not an event, not an event, not something that happened and is over and done with. Yeah, it was. That needs to be used, that fuzzy imperfecto that's not defined by time with a beginning and an end. Estaba cerca del parque, estaba cerca del centro. Bien. Ok. A ver. Bien. Right? But if I'm just describing something, right? Mi casa es, let's get an es. Mi casa era, if we use a color. Mi casa
Azul.
era verde. Mi casa de mi infancia. Which house?
When you're a child.
House I grew up in.
My childhood. Yeah.
Childhood, huh?
See, era verde. Era verde. It used to be green. That's not, I can't really say when it started being green and when that's not the point. Yeah. The point was not when it started being green, when it finished being green. It was green. It's not really an event. Instead of es verde, the past idea, you will hear it as era verde, era verde. Bien? Vale? Bien? Okay. Getting a little better feel for the, this is just how you will, tend to hear it. Bien? We're going to take, tenemos como 5 minutos. I introduced this, so I want us to hear and see some examples of this very last one. Okay. And this has to do with this idea again of fuzzy in time versus event oriented. If we use querer to say wanted, wanted tends to use quería, wanted, because emotions, unless they're a reaction to something that happens, yeah, and we'll take a look at that reaction again in just a little bit. Unless we're talking about a reaction that is sudden or very clearly over with, when you say you wanted something, we don't really know when that feeling of wanted started or when it ended. And the point is not making that an event. The point is something that was out there, kind of fuzzy in time. Quiero llamar a mi amiga, por ejemplo. I want to call my friend. Quiero llamar. ¿Cómo se dice I wanted to call my friend?
Quería.
Quería.
Quería. Quería llamar a mi amiga. What else might we say we wanted? Something else. Maybe not what we wanted to do, but a thing we wanted. It could be anything that you wanted.
Quería.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Quería comprar una bolsa.
Quería comprar una bolsa. I wanted to buy a purse bag. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Something to carry something else in. Así, like that. Bien. Y más, another one. Somebody else had another idea with quería.
It's basically the same thing.
Maybe it's a thing you wanted instead of doing something like buying or calling.
Quería guitarra.
Quería una guitarra.
Mhm.
Quería una guitarra. I wanted a guitar. Sí. Let's embellish. ¿Cómo se dice when I was a kid? Cuando? When I used to be a kid, cuando era, ¿cómo se dice kid, little kid?
Una
Niña.
niño or niña.
Niño, niña. Cuando era niña, cuando era niño, depende, ¿sí? Cuando era niña, quería una guitarra. Bien. Bien, 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 bien. What else did you want when you were a kid? Cuando era niño, cuando era niña. What did you want?
Quería una caballo.
Oh, quería un caballo.
Yeah, un
Yo
caballo.
también, me
Sí.
too, sí, yo también.
Sí.
Cuando era niña, quería un caballo. I wanted. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not defined by when I started and at some point, I didn't anymore, but that's not the point. I used to want this. A lot of these feelings, if they're not defined by time, are, yeah, imperfecto. Algo más, something else when you were a kid. Something with sports, maybe. Por ejemplo, sí, cuando era niño, I'm going to talk about one of my kids. Cuando era niño, ah, quería, quería, quería una pelota de fútbol. Quería una pelota de fútbol. Quería, por ejemplo, un tren Eléctrico. He wanted.
A train, electric
A
train.
football electric train.
Sí, quería una bicicleta. Una bicicleta azul. Quería una bicicleta azul. He wanted
Blue bike.
a
Blue
blue bike. Yeah. Okay. Bien. You've got the idea, right? Because used to. So we're going to look at one little outlier just to end up. And this outlier, which you may hear one way or the other, and I'm going to put the one way or the other in the title, is either, well, actually, three ways. Me gusta for right now, right? Me gusta for presente. But you may hear it in past as me gustaba versus me gustó. Me gustó. Me gustó. ¿Ok? Bien. Ok. Por ejemplo. Por ejemplo. Me gusta el cine. Or I might make it plural for me gustan las películas. I like movies. I like movie theater. See? Me gusta ir al cine. I like going to the
Yeah.
movies. Me
Okay.
gusta ir al cine. Me gustan las películas. Okay. ¿Cómo se dice I liked going to the movies? When I was a kid, cuando era niña, I liked going to the movies.
Me estaba.
Ah, perfecto. Me gustaba ir al cine. Cuando era niña, me gustaba ir al cine. And the idea I'm conveying here is, how often did I do that?
We don't know.
Do I know how many times? No, I don't know how many times. A lot. I'm describing something that was a routine or a habit or a pattern that happened many times. But the point is not how many times. The point is, it used to happen. It used to go on. It used to occur. Cuando era niña, me gustaba ir al cine. I liked going to the movies. But now let me show you the flip-flop of how this is different. Here, I'm talking about something I used to do a lot, and I don't even know how often, but a lot. I need gustaba for that situation. But if I said something like ayer vi, yesterday I saw, ayer vi la película Wicked. And I liked it. Now, is it a habit or is it a reaction I had after I walked out of the theater?
It's a one-time thing that you had when you walked out.
Now, the idea I want to give you is how it hit me after I walked out. And now I need to use, because the idea I want to give to you is this is how I felt when I walked out of the theater. And I got to switch it into that other past. So, gustar, you may hear two ways. If you hear it as me gustaba, it means I used to like, I liked something. And I just did all the time. It's something that happened a lot, okay? Me gustaba, okay, cuando era niña. No, otro ejemplo. Something that's not an action, but an actual thing. Cuando era niña, me gustaba la comida de McDonald's. Because for kids, this is a thing. See? Me gustaba la comida de McDonald's. I liked McDonald's food when I was a little kid. And I just always liked it. Me gustaba means always liked it many, many times. But this me gustó happens because I walked out of this movie theater, and here's how I felt about it when I walked out of the theater. It's my reaction to a one-time event. Me gustó conveys your reaction after one time. Okay? O, por ejemplo, comí, I ate, comí un plato vegetariano. Comí un plato vegetariano, and here's my reaction. Y me gustó, and I liked it. This is how I felt about eating that one thing. It's a one-time event. It's not like the going to McDonald's a bunch of times when I was a little kid. It's I had this once, and here's how I felt about it. Me gustó. Bien? But it's one off. Yeah? Okay? See? Un poquito mejor? A little better?
Yeah.
Okay. Muy bien, muy bien. Son las 11. I went over time. Sí. Bien, 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 bien. Muchísimas gracias por participar. Thank you so much for participating. We will have a hiatus, a couple of weeks off here. And I will give you a video in the follow-up email, something to watch for fun, for a story. Yeah, but no homework because there may be some new and different people in the next session. If we get enough people, and we'll start with a fresh slate, just new stuff, new storytelling. Okay? ¿Todo bien?
Okay.
Thank you.
¿Todo bien?
Yes,
Bien.
thank you.
Gracias. Gracias. Fue un
Feliz
placer.
Navidad.
Y feliz Navidad, feliz Hanukkah, feliz días festivos, happy festival days, because everybody's celebrating different stuff. ¿Sí? Excelente. Nos vemos, nos
Excelente.
vemos.
Hasta luego.